The current-day Middle East is a contentious area, riddled with instability and conflict. It's been this way for many centuries, it is still like this, and it seems like it will be like this for the foreseeable future. But why? Well, we must go back more than 10,000 years ago. Present-day Iraq was known as Mesopotamia, which became the first hearth of civilization and ignited the agricultural revolution. Over millennia, the Middle East was ruled by powerful empires such as the Babylonians, Persians, Greeks under Alexander the Great, Romans, and the Byzantines, all who carved out the region. The area was also the birthplace of the three major Abrahamic and monotheistic religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. By being such a hearth, it created a major quagmire of problems, such as the diaspora of Jews during Roman rule, the rise of Islam and ultimately fundamentalism, the decline of regional Christianity, and Zionism, the return of Jews to the region after World War II. Within the last few hundred years, the Middle East has been conquered and ruled by various powers, including the Ottomans, French, British, and the Russians. Today, virtually all of the region is comprised of sovereign independent nations. However, legacies of the past, and even recent past, have created numerous problems. So much so that it seems peace in the Middle East will never be achieved. Geography plays a large role in the reason why the Middle East has so many problems. For one, the region is in the middle, hence its name. A location between other powerful regions has and still makes the Middle East susceptible to outside forces. Initially, in a modern geopolitical time frame, the Ottomans had control of much of the region, except for parts of Saudi Arabia and Persia, now Iran. After the fall of the Ottoman Empire, at the end of World War I, the Middle East was carved up by European colonial powers, mainly Britain and France. Instead of granting full independence to Arab lands, the region was divided into mandates. Britain took control of Iraq, Palestine, and Transjordan, while France took control of Syria and Lebanon. New borders were drawn with little regard for ethnic, tribal, or religious groups, planting the seeds for future conflict. Over the next few decades, nationalist movements grew, and one by one, these territories gained independence, often through struggle or political upheaval. This in turn created many of the modern-day issues plaguing the region, including the ongoing Syrian and the Yemen civil wars. In addition, the US's involvement in Iraq in the 2000s didn't really stabilize that nation or bordering nations, as it ultimately led to a rise in insurgency movements such as from Islamist extremist groups. Physical geography plays a significant role in the Middle East's problems. The Middle East contains several of the world's most critical maritime choke points, which are narrow waterways essential for global trade and energy transport. The most important is the Strait of Hormuz, located between Iran and the Arabian Peninsula, where nearly 20% of the world's oil supply passes through daily. To the west, the Suez Canal in Egypt connects the Red Sea to the Mediterranean, serving as a major shortcut for ships traveling between Europe and Asia. In the south, the Bab el-Mandab Strait, positioned between Yemen and the Horn of Africa, is vital for ships entering or exiting the Suez Canal, but it's increasingly threatened by instability and conflict in Yemen. Further north, Turkey controls the Bosphorus and the Dardanelles Straits, which link the Black Sea to the Mediterranean and are essential for Russian and Central Asian exports. Essentially, if one thing goes wrong, such as an all-out war or geopolitical dispute, this can directly affect the region and internationally affect commodity prices, especially of oil and natural gas. Islam has been the majority religion of the Middle East for more than 1,000 years, and this has shaped the region's identity. While it is one of the three Abrahamic monotheistic religions, it's become more fundamentalistic, and this has risen to a rise in Islamist nationalism. Most Middle Eastern nations incorporate Sharia law into some forms of their governments, or for civil matters, with Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Afghanistan having the strictest forms. The only two Middle Eastern nations without the law are Turkey, which developed into a secular society after the Ottoman Empire dissolved, and Israel, a majority Jewish state, which we'll talk about soon. Some of the hardline Sharia nations on the Arabian Peninsula are surprisingly stable, wealthy autocratic theocracies, thanks to oil revenue. Yet, these nations are sources for Islamist terrorists, and out of the 19 hijackers associated with the 9/11 terrorist attacks, 15 were Saudi nationals, and 2 were from the UAE. Yet, the US government is friendly with the two nations due to both having oil and being buyers of US weapons, thus lining the pockets of defense companies. Pretty much, it's a complex and convoluted geopolitical situation. Now, let's talk more about Israel. Present-day Israel was where the first monotheistic faith of Judaism was founded. But what made the religion different is it's the only of the 3 that's an ethno-religion, one where an individual shares a common religious and ethnic background. In the year 70 CE, the Romans destroyed the Second Temple in Jerusalem, and thousands of Jews were killed, enslaved, or forced to flee. After a second revolt in 135 CE, Jews were banned from Jerusalem entirely, and the Romans renamed Judea, Palestina, to erase its Jewish identity. Many Jews scattered throughout the Roman Empire, settling in places like Italy, North Africa, and eventually into parts of Europe such as Spain, France, and later to Central and Eastern Europe, especially Poland and Germany. But by the 1930s, nationalistic movements in Europe, especially Nazi Germany, led to the start of World War II and the Holocaust, the genocide of millions of Jews, as well as Slavs and Roma people. Many Jews who survived the Holocaust sought out refuge in other nations, and this is where Zionism comes in. Zionism is a political and ideological movement that supports the return of the Jewish people to their ancestral homeland, in the land of Israel, and the re-establishment of a Jewish state there. It emerged in the late 19th century in response to rising anti-Semitism in Europe, and the desire for national self-determination. International support grew for the creation of such a state, and in 1948, the State of Israel was established. Thereafter, surrounding Arab nations, including Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq, invaded Israel, leading to the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. But this resulted in the expulsion of 700,000 Palestinian Arabs, many who were not allowed to return. Through the 20th century, multiple more wars broke out, including the 1967 Six-Day War, the 1973 Yom Kippur War, and, in the 21st century, the current Gaza War, which started on October 7, 2023, when Hamas launched a surprise attack on Israel. While around 2,000 Israeli Jews were killed in the conflict, nearly 80,000 Palestinian Arabs living in the Gaza Strip were killed by Israeli forces, leading to a major humanitarian crisis as well as international protest against Israel. This past June, Israel launched missile attacks on Iran due to escalating tensions and the assumption that Iran is developing nuclear weapons that may be potentially used. Iran responded by launching missiles at Israel, and then the United States got involved by bombing Iran's 3 nuclear facilities. This escalation is a cause for concern, as it can lead to a wider regional conflict or possibly even a world war if other nations were to get involved, such as Russia and China, both of whom are friendly with Iran. There are many multifaceted and complicated problems plaguing the Middle East, and this is why the region has yet to achieve peace. One thing is certain, in that the major problem that's preventing peace is the Arab-Israeli conflict. The modern conflict has been ongoing since 1948, and it seems like there's no end in sight. And, in fact, in the last couple of years, it's become worse. But who's at fault? The Zionists claim Israel is the promised land of the Jews, but according to some Orthodox Jewish teachings, Jews are forbidden to have their own state until their Messiah comes. Yet, Palestinian Muslims and Christians did live on the land before the Jews returned and were displaced in 1948, and now have been confined to the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. Nowadays, some Jews want to displace all of the Palestinians to other places in Africa and Europe and totally reject the two-state solution. Also, the United States government has always favored Israel over Palestine and other Middle Eastern nations, which has created other direct and indirect geopolitical problems in the region, such as the 2003 invasion of Iraq, which turned out to be controversial as no weapons of mass destruction were ever found. The other argument is that many of the Middle Eastern nations are autocratic and volatile countries, while Israel is an example of a stable democracy which promotes freedoms. Israel is one of the richest Middle Eastern nations, and according to the Democracy Index, has a ranking of 0.787, classified as a flawed democracy, while Palestine is ranked 0.340, classified as authoritarian. The overall fact of the matter is that both sides have arguments that are untenable, and because of this, peace is very hard to achieve, and this unattainable peace will continue to cause destabilization throughout the Middle East in the coming years and decades. Do you think that peace will ever be achieved in the Middle East? I'd love to hear your feedback, so please leave your opinion in the comment section below. And for this controversial topic, keep the opinions civil. That concludes this week's episode. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you like learning about the world, you found the right channel. So be sure to subscribe to my channel, Urban to Earth, to view more videos. Until next time!